So this past Sunday, AEW presented All In. It was in an afternoon where I live, and it was a 4.5 hour some odd pay-per-view extravaganza with Bryan Danielson winning the AEW World Heavyweight Championship from Swerve Strickland. And how do I feel about it?
I had an awesome time.
Well, that's what you're here for, because that's what we're going to talk about. And I'm not going to run down the entire show. I'm just going to let you know how I feel about the event after watching it, how I feel in the aftermath as the dust settles, what I actually feel. And some of you are going to like it, some of you aren't going to like it, but strap in because we're going to go on a roller coaster ride. Now, this was the last show that they're going to do seemingly in Wembley Stadium until they come back in 2026. So they kind of wanted to leave with a bang, if you will. And I understand where they were trying to go with this, the momentum that they were trying to carry into this event. This event from AEW had more buildup than I have seen from them in a very long time. Almost every match had a build, had a feud, or had some kind of a story going into it. Even the one that I didn't understand was the trios ladder match. Like, I wasn't sure why Pac was with Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. Like, I have no idea why he decided to go with him. The only thing that I can think of is that the Lucha Brothers are about to become the Fuego Brothers in the WWE or NXT, and so Pac didn't have a team to go into the trios ladder match with, and Jon Moxley has been MIA since he lost the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. So Claudio and Wheeler were like, yeah, we'll team with you, dude. So this makeshift trios team, I thought were kind of going to be fodder for the House of Black and the Bang Bang Gang, or even the Patriarchy, right? Because I thought, one of those trios teams would have won over them. But no, Claudio, Wheeler, and Pac, they win the trios championship. Maybe they were going for a surprise win here. I have no idea why they decided to put them as a team, and I have no idea why they won, to be honest with you. And look, I'm not trying to shit on it. I'm just telling you, like, what I, as an observer, I missed Collision. So if they had something that happened on Collision, I tried to look it up. I couldn't find anything definitive. So, hey, if there was an actual story, if this bastard was looking for a home and he found it in the BCC, fine, that's cool. Hey, my bad. You know what I mean? But as a viewer watching it, I had no idea that was going to happen. So it caught me a little off guard. But other than that, every other match seemingly had some sort of story going into it. I'm going to tell you, one of my favorite matches on the show right now was Toni Storm and Mariah May winning the AEW Women's World Championship. I was talking about it in a video that I'm going to probably link at the end of this video, where I was, I was basically saying, is Mariah May a face in this feud? Is she good and Toni bad? Me bad? Me bad? And actually, I was wrong. Mariah May, in her hometown, like blocks away from where she grew up, she was booed pretty vociferously at first. I was shocked. I was like, whoa. And the crowd overwhelmingly enjoyed Toni Storm. The match had a great audience reception, which is great for a stadium event. AEW notoriously, they have this thing with the microphone, like they don't know where to put it. Like in ECW, they had the microphone under the ring, so every time they smacked the ring, it boomed in your face. It was like, blow, it cracked, it whipped. You know what I mean? In WCW, not so much. In WWF, or WWE rather, they had it in the crowd. You know, you got to hear everything the crowd was saying, for better or for worse. I feel like AEW needs to find a happy medium. Got to find a happy medium, because I wanted to hear more of the crowd, and there was a lot of the crowd involvement that was either it felt muted or the crowd wasn't that into it. And they might not have been into a majority of it. The crowd didn't get as loud as they got for the main event, in my opinion. Spoiler, we're going to get there, but crazy. So back to Mariah May and Toni Storm. They told a good story in the ring. I thought it was well done. Mariah continuously trying to mirror Toni Storm's moves, I thought was really well done. I thought it was well played. And I think that, like I said in the previous video that I'm going to link at the end of this video, is that you've got to keep the story going with Toni getting crazier and crazier. And you couldn't do that if she won. But the way that they were building this up was that she would eventually win. Toni Storm, I mean, she would win at All In. The way that they built this up, Mariah turns on her, hits her with the shoe, continuously beats the shit out of her with the shoe. Toni Storm is supposed to watch out for the shoe. She's not watching out for the shoe. And so now Toni Storm gets her win. She gets her win, right? No, wrong. AEW does things their own way, and they decided to go with Mariah May. So Mariah May has really tried to complete the story of really becoming Shang Tsunging, as a Mortal Kombat reference, Toni Storm here. She's really going for the gusto, and now as the AEW Women's Champion, we get to see what lengths Toni Storm is going to go to win that championship and reclaim her identity. Pretty interesting there. I'm going to say Hook and Jericho is next, I think. That match, it did what it's supposed to do. I like to see Taz back there doing the Taz mission on Brian Keith. And but overall, like I said this in another video too. I did another video about this. I think they need to move on from Hook and the FTW title. Put the FTW title encased in glass, have it in a shrine somewhere, and let's move Hook on to something totally different. He needs to go for a officially recognized championship in AEW, one of 17 championships that AEW has. It's time for Hook to go that route because it's so needed. The guy is young, but he's really kind of at this standstill, like we're trying to see what his personality is. He doesn't want to show it. And, he's a pretty boy, but and the girls are supposed to love him, but he's kind of antisocial at the same time. He's got weird haircuts and all that. They did the eye patch gimmick, which I swear to God, they've done the eye patch thing like more than they could, like no more eye patch for like another 5 years. AEW tends to overdo things to an insane degree, okay? Like it's like somebody is going to do a run-in, then guess what? There's going to be 5 other run-ins on the same show. Somebody's going to have an eye patch, then guess what? 5 other people are going to have an eye patch. Somebody says, "You're in my house now, bitch." Guess what? Everybody's going to say, "My house." Somebody says, "Bitch." Everybody else is going to say, "Bitch." I can go on and on. AEW just, they don't have a meeting and they get together and say, "Look, for tonight, this is the match that's going to have the run-in. For tonight, this is the person that's going to use the catchphrase, "My house." For tonight, this is the person, and going forward, this is the person that's going to have the eye patch. You know what I'm saying? It's like those are the things they need to have meetings about. Anyways, Hook wins. I'm hoping he moves on. I'm hoping he adopts Taz's catchphrase, "Beat me if you can, survive if I let you," because that was cold. That was a cold line, and it needs to come back and be bestowed to Hook. Bequeath the power of the "beat me if you can" Hook. It is yours now, because he's an ass kicker, and he needs to use that, because that's a cold line to use. Young Bucks, we knew they were going to beat FTR in the Acclaimed. The match was what it was. It is what it is. I did like that they tried to give the grizzled young vets a good moment out in Wembley Stadium. That's cool, and they did a lot of that throughout the night. Jamie Hayter coming back on the pre-show was really nice. I've heard a lot of rumor and innuendo about whether or not Jamie Hayter was going to be allowed back in the AEW in the good graces, because there might be some beef, some rifts going on in the locker room. You can do the Googles and find out yourself. That's not my job to report all of that stuff. But there is a rumor going on that there might be some beef with some people in the locker room there. Hey, Jamie Hayter, a big fan of Jamie Hayter. I'm a big fan of Jamie Hayter. I was looking forward to her and Toni Storm going at it again. Saraya, that's cool. Jamie Hayter is that's a good match for her to have. That's a classic match for her to have, in my opinion, because Saraya is a legend. Say what you will about Saraya, that's a legend. And if you want to build Jamie Hayter back up the ranks, that's somebody That's perfect to me. That's perfect. But eventually, you know what I'm saying? Eventually, she's going to have to cross paths with that person she doesn't like. And, and get the defeat. So, I did like that the fact that and this transitions well because we're going to go into the Casino Gauntlet. I did like how they really gave the spotlight to a lot of the British performers of the night because Wembley is huge, and this was a huge spotlight. A lot of eyes were on this event, and so you want to big them up. Grizzled Young Veterans, they had a huge moment. Jamie Hayter had a huge moment. Zack Sabre Jr., I think that's a good moment to have him out there in his hometown crowd in Wembley Stadium like that. Pac, say what you will. I don't know why they threw him in there with Claudio and Wheeler because it doesn't make sense storyline-wise unless something happened to Collision, but it was still a good moment for him to be in Wembley and have that moment, and win a championship in Wembley. It's a huge moment, especially for Pac because Pac has been with the company since the beginning, and he should have been a world champion by now. He should have been a part of the lineage. That's just my opinion. But they should have struck while the iron was hot with him, in my opinion. He's always the bridesmaid, never the bride, like he always won matches, but he never won the big ones. He never won the ones that count. So I was glad he got his moment. Another person that got his moment, Nigel McGuinness. Fuck, guys, I can't tell you how like hard I marked out. Pause or whatever, I guess. I don't know. But how hard I marked out for the Oasis in the Bushes joint. Like I just posted that comment on some other creator's comment section about how dope it would be to hear that song and hear him come out to that. So I was so glad they didn't do the Jerry Lawler thing where he's on commentary, they play the music, he takes the headphones off and gets in the ring. I'm so glad they gave him a proper entrance. Look, I'm a big Nigel McGuinness fan. I have no idea why they called him Desmond Wolfe in NWA TNA. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it at all. But in Ring of Honor, he was a world beater. He was a world beater. Like the matches he had with Bryan Danielson, I mean, they were classic matches, man. I was downloading these matches, yo. Like I was a big fan. These was on my DVD mixtapes, like where I would put a bunch of matches and angles on a DVD, like a little DVD. I think I still have some of them, to this day. Like that's how big of a fan I am of Nigel. I'm so glad he got his moment in Wembley. I would have liked to see him in Wembley with Bryan Danielson as his dancing partner, but I'm so glad that he still got to get his moment. And the guy's in great shape. I still wanted, Takeshi Morishima was another one I wish I got a chance to see. But, I heard he had cancer and whatnot. So, unfortunately, I don't think he's wrestling as much anymore. But eventually, we should be getting Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness. The Ring of Honor fan in me is hoping that we get that match in it. I wish it would have happened at Wembley, but to me, I still long for the opportunity to see that match. I don't even care if it's in person or not. I just want to see that match again. And I think that the shape that Nigel looked, I think that even with Bryan Danielson having osteoporosis or whatever, I still think, all due respect, I still think they can put on a classic. They can put on a classic. And we got another debut, or an exciting debut, I guess, because I think this is the first debut of the night. Ricochet finally made his AEW debut. We saw it coming. The rumors and the innuendo was true. He's going with Out of This World as a moniker or a nickname or whatever. A couple of videos ago, I talked about how I thought he should show up. It's because I'm programmed by the WWE is why I thought that he should show up that way, where he just basically jumped into the ring with a hoodie, slowly took the hoodie off to help Will Ospreay, and then Will Ospreay slowly turns around, and the two have a stare down in the middle of the ring. The crowd goes, holy shit, and then they both turn back around and they stare up the ramp at Don Callis and his family, and now you have a nice little program in between. That's something that the WWE probably would have done. But I also like the stare downs. I like the, I'm helping you, but I also could be your greatest adversary, greatest foe. I like that stuff, so I thought that would have been better. Instead, he shows up in the gauntlet. He doesn't take the pin. He doesn't stare at the lights for 3 seconds or whatever. So it's not the end of the world. I think the gauntlet is interesting because It's not like the Royal Rumble, so it gives the wrestlers a chance to roll out of the ring and be lazy while 2 or 3 or 4 wrestlers steal the show a little bit in the ring. It's kind of weird, but I mean, it's nice. It's nice and it's unique. It's like their own version of the Royal Rumble, I guess. So it's cool. I always thought Tony Khan had something with the whole casino theme, you know, all out, all in, double or nothing, you know. There's another one they have that's got that casino theme to it. I mean, that's cool. I like that. I'm all for that. Like the casino gauntlet, the dynamite diamond ring thing they do. Oh, that's cool. I'm with all of that. I think that's dope. And Christian ends up winning the casino gauntlet. Crazy. But they had Nigel in there, and then they also had Hangman Page in there. And so I liked that they didn't have Hangman win or Nigel win, because it would have been great, but it would have led the fans to feeling that there's a finish. The finish of the match would have been spoiled. If Nigel would have won, you would have felt like Bryan Danielson was going to win. If Hangman would have won, you would have felt like Swerve was going to win. So I thought they did a good job of giving us a surprise win, so that we still weren't sure. I think it led to a lot of the drama unfolding and the crowd being into the match, because they really didn't know who was going to win. So I thought that was well done. I thought that was actually really well done, because Christian Cage has history with Swerve. There's Christian Cage and Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson had his family out there, so now you've got a reason for Christian Cage to get in his head and talk some shit. They had a rumor going around that Darby Allin is going to be in line to win the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, or at the very least compete for the AEW Championship. So there's something there, because now Christian could talk about being his father figure. You know, you're a reckless guy. You know, you need somebody like me under your wing to hone you down. The Nick Wayne history, the Sting history. Like, there's all kinds of stuff that they could play with Christian Cage and Darby Allin. If they go with Christian as the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, you got a lot to play with. You got Darby Allin. You got the inevitable return of Adam Copeland if and when he returns. You've got Luchasaurus getting his name back and finally challenging Christian for the World Championship. You've got some shit there to play with. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like that a lot. A lot of people are probably not going to like it, but I like that. I like what they did there, and I think that that's something that it keeps the feuds going fresh. It keeps them fresh. Tony Khan did a good job of kind of like presenting these matches to happen at All Out in short time, 2 weeks, but we were building to them. Like Hangman Page and Swerve, like MJF and Daniel Garcia. We're going to get into that in a minute. But, you know, like building up to these matches so they mean something. Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander. Like, we're slowly building to these matches that are going to happen at All Out, and they're not going to feel like they were thrown together, which is a lot of the problem that we had with All Out last year. It was like all these matches were just thrown together, albeit because of a lot of problems, but it still felt like it was kind of thrown together. This is actually perfect, because now we actually are anticipating, and we have some stories, and we have some ready-made video packages for like at least 3 or 4 matches. So that's awesome. Will Ospreay and MJF, I thought was a great match. I thought it was way better than their television match, in my opinion. It told a better story. I liked that you got to hear MJF talking shit. I liked the way that they paced this match out. There was a lot of good pacing. See, when AEW is done right, it actually works, okay? And this is an example. MJF and Ospreay, Tony Storm, and Mariah May. I think these are examples of like AEW is like it's like a bunch of styles amalgamated into one thing. You know, like you get a little bit of Japan, you get a little comedy, you get a little hardcore, you get a little traditional, you get a little modern, you get a little risque, you get a little, you know, you get a little of everything just kind of like just thrown into this hodgepodge. A little bit for everybody should be their slogan. I don't like the slogan is like we're the best wrestle. It should be a little bit for everybody, or a little bit for everybody, or something for everybody, something like that, because it's true. You get a little bit of everything, and there's nothing wrong with that. So if you're a fan of New Japan, just wait around. If you're a fan of hardcore wrestling, wait around. If you're a fan of traditional storytelling, progression, psychology, wait around, because you're going to get something like that. Somebody liked a match on this pay-per-view, guaranteed, no matter what type of fan you are. And you can't argue that. You can't argue that. Somebody liked one match on this card. I mean, there were like 15 fucking matches, but still, you know what I mean? So I thought the match was good. I thought Will Ospreay, the Assassin's Creed thing, was dope. MJF coming out with the Apollo Creed stuff, Lex Luger tights, was fucking hilarious. I mean, they really should have came out to I'll Be Your Hero from the Lex Express theme. Really should have came out with that. I mean, I would have marked out so bad if Tony would have got the rights to I'll Be Your Hero. Like, I'll play a little bit of that so you can see what I'm talking about, because most of y'all don't know nothing about that. It's like they're 22 years old or something like that, 21 years old. So, but yeah, thought it was a great match. Daniel Garcia coming back. It seemed like they stooged the idea that Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez were working for AEW in that regard, because they were the ones that reported that Daniel Garcia was trying to figure out who he wanted to sign with. Everybody knew that he was going to sign with AEW. It was funny as hell, but a lot of people probably bit, so they made that more of an effective surprise for him to show back up. So a mission accomplished in that regard. Ospreay winning as the international champion, it works on so many levels, and now MJF can go on, beat Daniel Garcia or have his feud with Daniel Garcia and move on to something else as well. So like, they're doing a good job. Tony is doing a good job of moving things in their appropriate places to maintain, sustain interest. Mercedes Moné and Britt Baker felt like something was off. I don't know if I'm the only one, but something was definitely off. Things were choppy. They didn't flow. The finish felt like it came out of nowhere. Britt Baker's had boo-boo face ever since she's been in this program, so I have no idea what's going on there. I don't know, man. I don't know. This was not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be more like a brawl. It was very weird. It was very weird. But Mercedes Moné wins. Don't know where they're going to go with Britt Baker. We'll see. You know, all in due time, I guess. I don't know who they're going to line up for Mercedes Moné either. Who's next for her? I don't know if Ruby Riot's ready to come back. I don't know what they're going to do, but it'll be interesting to see what they do, especially with Camille, who is Anna Jay's big sister. Like, I don't know why they missed the ball with that. She should be Anna Jay's bodyguard, and Anna Jay should be with Jack Perry. So it should be Jack Perry out there with Camille and Anna Jay, in my opinion. But that's just me. Speaking of Jack Perry, he was out there talking about Cry Me a River against Darby Allin. Oh, cry me a river. And they had glass, and it was crazy, and Sting returned, which was really cool. He had his moment. Yeah, it was crazy. And then Jim Ross came out for commentary for the main event, which was awesome to see him. You know, I was a little bit worried about him when he did the interview with Swerve. I was just worried for his health, man. I was just hoping that he was all right and he wasn't forcing himself to come out if he didn't have to. But he added a lot to this match to make it a big match feel. Anytime with Jim Ross. See, the thing with Jim Ross, I'm going to break it down for you as a wrestling old head here. I like to talk about current products, but I also like to bring in some of the stuff from the past as well. And this is my opportunity to do that. With Jim Ross likes to tell stories, man. Like, he's not a sports commentator. He's not there talking about, emphatic jam or tiger suplex or German variation or double underhook off the top rope. Like, he's not here to do that. What he's here to do is he's here to add a narration of the story so that you're not lost. He's here to talk about the build-up. He's here to explain these characters that you're getting emotionally invested in. That's the Jim Ross where he's on fire. And he's his best when there's a story to be told. He's his best when he gets to talk about these two wrestlers and why they fucking hate each other and why they're in the ring. That is the Jim Ross where he's just hitting on all cylinders. You know what I'm saying? And JR had a good dance partner in Jerry Lawler, because Jerry Lawler was a little more eccentric and comedic and all that. and he talked a lot of shit. So Jim Ross was able to, like, battle with trying to ground Jerry Lawler, but also explain the story to the fans, and that's the Jim Ross that I love. And that Jim Ross was here. He had the story, and it helped. And the fucking crowd was on fire for this match. This is what AEW needed. This was like that punch, you know what I'm saying, to get the fans to go, hey, we're still here. They needed this match. MJF, Will Ospreay, Mariah, Toni Storm, Mercedes Moné, Britt Baker, all of that, cool. This was the match that needed to be successful. And I felt like it accomplished its goal. Okay? That's the good stuff. That double underhook back suplex off the top rope Bryan Danielson did against Swerve could have been bad. But it was awesome. And it was awesome. I'll give him that. Danielson coming out to Final Countdown. Awesome. Woo! Kid. DJ Woo Kid. That's crazy. Woo Kid, man, that's crazy. I used to listen to DJ Woo Kid all the time, all the G Unit, 50 Cent mixtapes back in the day. That's what I would hear all the time. And then one of the mixtapes that I love the most from G Unit and 50 Cent was when Dave Chappelle hosted. And it was DJ Woo Kid did the mixtape and had Dave Chappelle on. And he was in some of the in-between skits before the next song. And man, that was one of my favorite mixtapes. I bumped that ad nauseum. I bumped that until I was blue in the face. Like, that was my favorite mixtape. So it was cool to hear him, in a little shot at the beginning before Swerve came out. That was pretty cool. Bree Danielson being out there was cool. The kids being out there was cool. I felt like the thing that was missing there, the difference between this moment and maybe Daniel Bryan's moment at WrestleMania or Cody Rhodes finishing the story this past year at WrestleMania, was the build-up to this match was Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson trying to find the courage, but everybody else was encouraging him already. Jeff Jarrett was encouraging him. Everybody was encouraging him. He needed to find it within himself, and they kind of told that story, but it didn't correlate with the family. Like, I felt like what they were missing was something to do with the family. Bree came on in the pre-show and said, we all want Bryan to win. What was missing there was maybe they should have done that on Dynamite. That I felt like would have been huge, because then that would have sent the emotional connection up a notch. I'm being petty here. I'm grasping here, but I think that was something that was needed to really further the idea of once Danielson win, having that moment with his family. Small details, not a big deal, just my perspective, you know what I mean? But Bryan Danielson winning, I think it was interesting having Hangman come out. Hangman and Swerve is AEW's version of CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. One thou wow. This is their feud that they can build a bunch of different feuds off of. And I like how they had Swerve heal it up, because Hangman's been healing it up, so they can show that these guys are in such a bad place that when they get in the ring, it could be crazy. And let the fans choose who they want to cheer for in that moment, depending on where they're at. Not the whole roster doesn't have to be tweeners. Those two, I'll allow it. I think it's all right. I don't think you need to do that with the whole roster, but for those guys, they're troubled. They're obviously troubled. So let them do shitty things to other people and then collide in the ring. I like that, because it builds to the fact that you have no idea what they'll do when they get in the ring against each other, because look at the shit that they're doing to other people. Awesome. Well done. I thought AEW accomplished what they needed to accomplish with this pay-per-view. I think they've got hype going into All Out in 2 weeks. They've got good build to the matches that hopefully come out of that. Hangman and Swerve, MJ and Daniel Garcia, Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander. Then you can add some other things to it as well and keep building towards that, right? Bryan Danielson, maybe against Christian Cage. I mean, I'm not going to be mad at that happening that soon. Or maybe Christian Cage can be cerebral with it. I know they said a couple of times Christian Cage can cash that in whenever he wants. Ricochet coming out in the gauntlet was a foregone conclusion. I would have thought they would have made him a bigger deal because they know that the one chip that they don't want to cash in, speaking of the whole casino stuff, is Will Ospreay against Ricochet right away. I don't know if you want to throw that out there right away. If they're hurting for a squirtin', then maybe they do it at Grand Slam at Arthur Ashe and turn those 4,000 tickets into 8,000 tickets or 9,000 tickets or something to have that dream match. Who knows? But they can hold on to that chip for just a little bit longer. I think it'll be good for them. Other than that, I thought it was a really, really good show. I like AEW, man. I think they do good. And I like that they're putting the pieces back together. They got a lot to work with. They got a long way to go. But they're doing their due diligence to get back to where they used to be, or maybe to a place that they've never been before. And I look forward to it. I'm on the ride with them. What did you guys think of AEW All In? Are you excited for AEW All Out? What was your favorite match on the card? You guys let me know in the comments. Thumbs up on the way out. And as always, you guys, stay tuned for more.